It was always about the aftermath, not the event. Most of us get it. When you read that, you understand what that means. When this whole thing first started a few months ago, like the very first few weeks, there were already people, putting up videos and saying, this is it. It's the end. This is what they're doing. It's this, that, and the other. It's over. It's finished. I never liked that attitude, but still, I wasn't sure what to think. I wasn't sure, is this something that we're going to wind up, working through, getting beyond, which in a lot of places we have. Many people didn't even think we'd ever get out of the lockdown, but we're out of it. But what's happened is over the weeks, as this thing has developed, the real true story, the bigger picture has come into focus. And that's really what I want to do here with you guys today, is just kind of hang out with you. And by the way, hello, thanks for being here. Hope you're doing okay. I'm doing my show at 2:00 this afternoon for my friends overseas, primarily because a lot of them like to check out the shows on a Friday evenings at 7, but for them it's like midnight. Some of them it's like 2 a.m. So every now and then I like to mix it up and do a show earlier in the day. And I could have made a video on this subject, but I've already been doing some videos about the crown virus. The next 2 videos are not about that at all. I'm almost done with one of them. But I still wanted to show you guys just all the little pieces that have stood out to me over the weeks, watching the story unfold. And now all of us are seeing the bigger picture. All of us are starting to see how it's all really settling in. It seems we are working out of this, the first wave of it, I guess, or the first wave of the lockdowns, moving into something else. But it's very interesting how, for years, many of us have been watching for their new world order. And, we're already in it in a lot of ways, but, for the fully matured new world order, full on lockdown, a real prison planet, microchips, of course, being a part of that as well, constant surveillance. So we've been watching for this, and we've been fighting against that, groups like this, thinkers like us and others out there who are critically thinking and looking outside the mainstream. We've all been fighting this stuff for many years, whether we realized it or not, but we have been. We're keeping some kind of opposition up to it. It's very important. And we're opening people's minds. We're reaching a lot of people. The point is, it's all really coming into focus now, what this is and what it's all about. So that's what I want to do, man. Let's take a look at some of the, oh, by the way, thank you, moderators, as well. I think Tamara might be the only one right now. But thanks as always, Tamara. You always do really good. And any other moderators that may have come in after, thank you. Also, quickly, big shout out to all of you that stepped up this week to support Patreon and also some PayPal. Thank you very much. As I said before, even if it's only $1, at least you'll know, what I'm doing, where I'm at. If anything happens to this channel or anything like that, or any new projects I'm working on, I always let Patreon know. So thank you. All right, guys, enough of all that. Enough of that introduction. Let's get started and take a look at some of this. You'll see what I mean, man. You're going to see, once we kind of look at the bigger picture here in these different stories, it all comes much more into focus that this really was a part of the plan all along. And we get that. Again, we get that, especially with a lot of the Bill Gates stuff and Event 201 and whatnot. Let me make sure you guys are seeing this okay. Yeah, okay, that's looking good. I think we're solid. This one just popped up over this week. This is nuts. So that's the other thing. I'm always looking into the symbols primarily on everything. It's just what I get. It's what I'm attracted to, and it's what I can usually make sense of. And sure enough, all around the crown virus, lots of symbolism I've shown you there towards the Antichrist. And now with the vaccine, lots of 666. And we even have this this shock as it's revealed an enzyme called luciferase is what makes Bill Gates' implantable quantum dot microneedle vaccine delivery system work. That's actually the picture of it. Bill Gates is building something that we call the human implantable quantum dot microneedle vaccination delivery system. And it's composed of multiple things. I want to draw your attention to one component, the quantum dot microneedles that will deliver the vaccines, and a very, very unique biochemical that makes it all work. Let's go ahead and check it out. With each passing day, it becomes clearer and plainer to those of us who are Bible believers that we are living in a very unique time period. So unique, in fact, that we just might be witnessing the kingdom of Antichrist and the mark of the beast system being assembled before our very eyes. Please note that I use, this is all extra stuff. Over the past few weeks, we've shown you a massive project by Bill Gates that's so all-encompassing that it's quite nearly begs belief. The expression is an old English term in which means something that is so unbelievable that it nearly cannot be believed. The concentration camps in the Holocaust are a great example of that. When the films of what went on there came to light, it was so astonishing that it was hard to comprehend such a thing could happen. But happen it did. What is happening right now, the Antichrist system, is similarly hard thing to fathom. This is a lot of exposition here stuff. I know, it's an editorial, but I just want to get to the meat of it, and then I'll show you the rest of the stuff I'm looking at here. Today we bring you a near-infrared bioluminescence enzyme luciferase, which is the chemical that will make the quantum dot vaccination readable through a special mobile device app. The enzymes that will light up Bill Gates' implantable microneedle vaccination system is called luciferase. It pretty much speaks for itself. And that's what makes a vaccination readable long after the victim has been injected, and what allows a mere vaccine to function as a mark. Luciferase. Yes, unbelievable. Look at this. So that's what it looks like. It's creepy. I mean, that's the gist of it. That's the main thing I wanted to show you. Again, just Lucifer, really connected to the vaccine or connected to the mark, potentially the mark of the beast? Okay, well, there's more than that. It's a good article by Henry Maycow. It's Bill Gates' connection with Lucis Trust. When Warren Buffett gave $31 billion to Bill Gates Foundation last week, I assumed it would advance the New World Order. But when a reader showed me Gates' connection with the neo-pagan anti-Semitic former Lucifer Trust, I sat up and took notice. Established by Alice Bailey in 1922, the Lucifer Publishing Company has changed its name the following year for obvious reasons. Based at 120 Wall Street, the Lucis Trust now is a vital part of the satanic cult that controls the Western world. It started the New Age movement to deviously induct society into their Luciferian mindset. Bailey was a leader of the Theosophical Society started in 1875 by Helena Blavatsky. Theosophy is a branch of Freemasonry, according to Constance Kumby. Theosophy spawned the occult societies that in turn created Adolf Hitler and the Nazi ideology. In 1949, Bailey wrote the Jewish Holocaust was due to the Jews' bad karma. The evil karma of the Jew today is intended to end his isolation, to bring him to the point of relinquishing material goals, of renouncing a nationality that has a tendency to be somewhat parasitic. It's from Esoteric Healing. Bailey teaches that the Jews are from a different solar system and that Orientals and blacks are from a different root race. Occidental races must control the world as they are our most evolved root race. Her words, not mine. This must be of concern since a major focus of the Gates Foundation is providing billions of dollars worth of vaccines to poor third world countries. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has doubled in size due to the Buffett gift and is the money from Buffett, and is 5 times larger than the next largest Ford Foundation. The Gates Foundation is mentioned as financial member of the Lucis subgroup, the new group of world servers. Bill Gates is also mentioned on the Lucis Trust website. Through the philanthropic and humanitarian work of such people as George Soros, Bill Gates, Kofi Annan, and Bono, to name just a few, people are beginning to recognize the needs of the world's destitute people and acting to do something about them. There is talk by Soros and another thinker, James Tobin, about the creation of some type of tax upon financial transactions that would be used to support domestic programs in the developing world. Humanity surely has the ability to institute these and similar changes. It just needs the will to do so. A tax on all financial transactions is part of the plan. This begins the proclamation of the Maitreya, the New Age Messiah, who they've been grooming for more than 3 decades. According to Kumby, who is a lawyer, the plan also includes a New World government and religion under Maitreya, a universal credit card system, an authority that would control the food supply, a universal tax, and a universal draft. All right. Even with this, though, about Maitreya, I don't know if you're new around here. If you're not, you've heard me talk about Maitreya, even in some recent videos. And it's very much an antichrist type figure, encompasses all the religions, They've even, the images of him seem to look somewhat like the Jesus image we've been given all of these years. So really a perfect candidate for that Antichrist. But I still can't keep my eyes off Obama. You know, there's so much with Obama. I'm convinced he has an Antichrist spirit. Does that mean he'll be the body that the devil takes over, you know, which is essentially what's going to happen? It'll be, right, whenever the Antichrist, will be a human figure, will be revealed for all, you know, is he going to be the body that it's in? You know, I wonder. And like I see all these people on the news the last few weeks talking about Obama, and you see some of these conservative websites talking about, oh boy, Obama's in trouble, they're going to get him, you know, and stuff like this. And it's like, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't feel they're ever really going to get him, you know, if he's that Antichrist, you know, and we'll see. I could be wrong. There's people out there that are convinced we're going to see a bunch of these people get locked up. You know, the swamp's going to get cleaned up. Obama's going to be in cuffs. Hillary's going to jail. Some people think a lot of these celebrities and whatnot are already in Guantanamo. Or is it Gitmo? Or is it the same thing? Anyway, a lot of people think that these celebrities and some of these politicians have already been locked up and attended military courts and things like this. I don't know, man. It starts getting complicated, doesn't it? I just keep it simple, but I do keep an eye on Obama, and we'll see. He's back in the news. We'll see what happens with that. Anyway, that was just a little short article I wanted to share. You can see I've got a little bits and pieces here. I just want to keep going through. Here's another one. True story, really happened. I remember when I first saw this come out. It's been about a week or so. Didn't believe it at first. I didn't even look into it. I was like, no. I just kind of looked past it, and then sure enough, started getting a lot of traction. Anyway, I actually found it. This is on congress.gov, and it's HR 6666. Interesting, of course, has to do with the C-19, but more importantly, this introduces, it's the Trace Act for contacting everybody through contact tracers. Bill authorizes the Center for Disease Control and Prevention to award grants for testing, contact tracing, monitoring, and other activities to address C-19. Entities such as federally qualified health centers, nonprofit organizations, and certain hospitals and schools are eligible to receive such grants. All right, there you have it. The sixes, okay? Because, again, we're finding some of this around this whole situation, the crown virus and the sixes, but there's more. Then there's this. Have you seen this? There's some of these memes have been making the rounds out there as well, but just another interesting one. You can break down Corona, your crown, into 666. And a lot of people have been doing that, just kind of showing it around. 6 letters and 66, so it's 666. It's interesting. But wait, there's more. What's this from? This is just talking a little bit about ID 2020. You've heard of ID 2020? See if I can find where they're talking about it. ID 2020 is an alliance of public-private partners, including United Nations agencies and civil society. It's an electronic ID program that uses generalized vaccine as a platform for digital identity. The program harnesses existing birth registration and vaccination operations to provide newborns with a portable and persistent biometrically linked digital identity. Newborns even. Wow. Gavi, the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, identifies itself on its website as a global health partnership of public and private sector organizations dedicated to immunization for all. Gavi is, of course, supported by the World Health Organization, and needless to say, its main partners and sponsors are the pharma industry. The ID 2020 Alliance at their 2019 summit, entitled Rising to the Good ID Challenge in September 2019 in New York, decided to roll out their program in 2020, a decision confirmed by the WEF in January 2020 in Davos. Their digital identity program will be tested with the government of Bangladesh, Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and partners from academia and humanitarian relief, as they call it. are part of the Pioneer Party. Is it just a coincidence that ID 2020 is being rolled out at the onset of the World Health Organization's plandemic? Or is it a pandemic needed to roll out the multiple devastating programs of ID 2020, right? Problem, reaction, solution, it seems. Here's what Anir Chowdhury, police advisory of the Bangladesh government program, has to say. We are implementing a forward-looking approach to digital identity that gives individuals control over their own personal information while still building off existing systems and programs. The government of Bangladesh recognizes that the design of digital identity systems carries far-reaching implications for individuals' access to services and livelihoods, and we are eager to pioneer this approach. All right, so a little bit about ID 2020. We've been hearing about that one in the news for a while. Trump's mentioned ID 2020 a few times as well. Washington state restaurants ordered to keep logs of customers when reopening after the virus outbreak. So even like the title, it was all about the aftermath, not the event. Again, what do we picture in our minds when we think of these dystopian societies, or this real new world order, fully mature beast system? I mean, it's already been shown to us for years. We've been programmed for years and years and years, especially through movies and television. All of these dystopian new world order type movies. Hunger Games is an example. And there's so much truth in all of these, of course, because of that programming that's taking place. A lot of the stuff on screens taking place, is about to take place, or has already taken place in the real, is either or will be taking place in the real world. And that's how a lot of that works. Even in the Hunger Games, remember how all the men, there's either like the well off, or you're basically dirt poor, and you're playing in the games for your communities. But remember, the people on the rich side, all the men were very effeminate, very fixed up, makeup, fancy hair, fancy clothes, and things like this. I mean, it was a little bit exaggerated, of course, but we're seeing similar things even here now in the real world. Of course, you already see that, the way things are being inverted. I just saw this news story a couple days ago. I'll put it in my What Happened show, and it's about Twitch. And Twitch just, I guess it's a moderator. They gave a trans individual, the moderator wrench, which I guess is a big deal at Twitch, because they have the power to destroy your channels and stuff. But it's it's a trans person. It's a man to woman with the crazy pink hair and all the unicorn clothes and everything else. It's just another, to me, those are symbols of, that's what the beast system wants. Ultimately, I think that's probably what it wants for all of us, just to be these androgynous, not thinking kind of individuals, like, everything's magical and mystical, and being lost in your own perversions and deviancies and everything else. But this person is a moderator on Twitch, and a lot of people are talking about it because they've been making videos talking about how powerful they are, how good it feels to have power, how they think almost everybody on Twitch is a white supremacist, and for them to be scared because, this person has the power to take them out now. And it's just really creepy stuff, man. It's like, really? This person's on a total power trip, total power trip. And this is one of the Rainbow Children, the New World Order. Total power trip. And of course, not everybody on there's a freaking white supremacist, but just the mind control with these people. And so it's like the system is mind controlled and just debased so many people. And then once these people get so debased, they don't even know who they are, what they are, and what reality is anymore. They give them power. It's interesting. There's got to be, I'm sure that's been used throughout history in some capacity. I know in Nazi Germany, they used to say that they would let a lot of the times they would let the women be in charge of the different men's camps there, just to fully subjugate the men and, make them feel weaker and things like this, because the men couldn't touch them or do anything to them. And they could just stand over them with an iron fist, and kind of do whatever they wanted to do, But what do we picture? There's a lot we picture, though. What's the plan? Well, it's going to be, again, full on lockdown, crazy drones in the skies, right? We always see the drones are monitoring people, trying to find those that maybe aren't tagged. And everybody's tagged in the future. Everyone's got some kind of a mark, don't they? They're all got a microchip of some sort. Lockdown, no middle class, a rich and a poor class, basically. That's one of those as well. No more cash, no more money. A one world monetary type system, all digital. That's one thing we see in a lot of these as well. Well, we're seeing a lot of that reflected in the real world now, aren't we? This is the aftermath. And now we're beginning to see a lot of these elements that we've been programmed with for years to see and wait for and accept. At the same time, it's that lesser magic. They have to show us what they're going to do before they do it. So we're privy to the plans. We get an idea somewhat of what they're trying to create and what it's going to look like. And now in the aftermath, we're seeing a lot of that stuff in our reality, coming into play. You'll see a lot of that today here in some of these stories. This was interesting to me. Washington State restaurants ordered to keep logs of customers when reopening after the outbreak. Washington Governor Jay Inslee office on Monday issued a set of virus requirements that restaurants must abide by when they reopen, one of which requires them to create a daily log of their customers' comings and goings. The state is prepping to enter phase 2 of a 4-phase plan to reopen businesses. And this falls into the tracking of us, again, getting us ready for that, slowly, heating up the water we're in, right? The frog in the boiling water, but very slowly, but kind of getting us used to this idea as well, being traced and tracked. The state is prepping to enter phase 2 of a 4-phase plan to reopen businesses in the state. Restaurants that want to offer dine-in services must create a daily log of customers and maintain the daily log for 30 days, including telephone, email contact information, and time in. No thanks. The measure is said to lay the groundwork for a trace program if the government decides to start tracking the movement of its citizens. And this is on Fox News. So, considered a mainstream source. I don't know how reliable. It's like anything else. I don't trust everything on Fox News, but hold on. I'm gonna take a drink here. I'm drinking watermelon flavored water from Hint, H-I-N-T. Have you ever heard of that kind of water? Hint. They have it at Target. That's why I go to Target. I like it. But it's watermelon, blackberry, cherry flavored water. It's really good. Hint, check it out. And that's KJ Osborne for Hint, available at your local Targets. 8 state counties reportedly been approved to move forward with this program. I don't need to name all the counties, but there are 13 criteria restaurants must meet, and that's one of them. It seems they are setting up some kind of a tracing program. No bueno. Contact tracing group funded by Soros and Gates has Chelsea Clinton on board. Again, though, this contact tracing, and that's another one of those elements we see in that dystopian futures from the movies and TV shows, and even the ones that they are trying to build. This is what they want. This would be, again, that final Antichrist beast system. Full-on surveillance, tracking of everybody. I'll be out in the jungle somewhere, or maybe in the woods. I don't know if I can get to the jungle anymore. Partners, but then I've been watching all these shows lately about scary things happening in the woods. So I've been kind of scared to even go on some of the walks I go on out there sometimes. I gotta chill that stuff out. There's a show called, what is it? There's Something Haunted in the Woods. It's on Travel Channel, and it's all real stories from people. Always happens in the woods. Good stuff, interesting stuff, but I wouldn't recommend watching a whole bunch of it and then going out to the woods. You probably wouldn't want to anyway. Partners in Health was recently selected by Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker to conduct crown virus contact tracing, a process that involves teams of investigators finding out who infected people have come into contact with. And this, we've seen it before. This is a Stasi, or it's the brown shirts even. We've also seen plenty of, the rise of the Karens is another part of this. We We laugh about it. It's funny. We make fun of it. It's these tattletales, these Karens. But even that, it's that whole see something, say something. I mean, for 10 years, people have been, or under Obama at least, for many years, they were indoctrinated with that idea from Homeland Security, all your airports. If you see something, say something. But now we really see a lot of people seeing something and saying something far too often and getting people in trouble and just being a nuisance, overall. So the rise of the Karens, again, we think it's kind of funny, but in reality, we've seen it before and it's not cool. It's like a hive mind of that beast system, the tattletales, we got to follow the rules, must always stay in line, do what the television tells us to do. So this contact tracing will be, it's one to watch now, big time. Soros personally announced, Partners in Health co-founder Paul Farmer's achievement.org bio notes, Farmer's work attracted the support of philanthropists, including George Soros and Bill and Melinda Gates. In 2002, PIH received a $13 million grant from the Global Fund for Improvements in the Kane Complex. In 2005, the William J. Clinton Foundation funded a Partners in Health AIDS program in Rwanda. Farmer and Chelsea Clinton did a Clinton Foundation podcast together in 2019. He's just stringing all the people together here. I mainly just wanted to kind of talk about the contact tracing and the fact it's been funded by Soros and Gates and has a connection with Chelsea Clinton. I think I've got another story about Chelsea Clinton in here today too. DOD and HHS award a $138 million contract to Apiject Systems to provide pre-filled C-19 vaccine syringes with RFID microchip tracking system. There's your 33. Surge packet 333 million. Back in March, the Department of Health and Human Services partnered with a company called Apiject. What does Apiject make? They make pre-filled syringes for injecting people with vaccines and then provide RFID microchip tracking after the shot is administered. You'll see in the main graphic for the article an RFID syringe displayed on the screen of a mobile device. Today, May 12th, so a few weeks ago, or not weeks, days, the DOD and HHS handed Apiject a check for $138 million with an order to deliver hundreds of millions of these devices by October of 2020. Take a look at the picture here. Apiject 33. Spearheaded by the DoD's Joint Acquisition Task Force in coordination with the HHS Office of the Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response, the contract will support Jumpstart to create a U.S.-based high-speed supply chain for pre-filled syringes beginning later this year by using well-established blow-fill-seal aseptic plastics manufacturing technology suitable for combating C-19 when a safe and proven vaccine becomes available. Safe and proven. I ain't taking a vaccine. I don't know about you. Contract also enables Apiject Systems America to accelerate the launch of Rapid USA manufactured in new and permanent US-based BFS facilities with the ultimate production goal of over 500 million pre-filled syringes doses in 2021. Says, welcome to the new normal. It comes with an RFID microchip-enabled C-19 vaccination syringe with your name on it. That's the new normal. The only question is, what will you do when they come to your door and tell you it's mandatory? You might want to figure out your response to that scenario sooner rather than later. New public-private partnership created to develop a US-based high-speed emergency surge drug packaging solution using mass manufacturable pre-filled syringes with optional mobile-based GPS tracking and confirmation. Oof. Apiject Systems America, a public health corporation based here, today joined with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Office of Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response in announcing the launch of a public-private partnership dedicated to creating a U.S.-based high-speed, high-volume emergency drug packaging solution establishing, quote, surge capacity for mass manufacturable pre-filled syringes. Ruh-roh. Well, there you go. They're not wasting any time, it seems. Okay. Here's one. This is shared by Amazing Polly. The Clintons want to recruit an army of contact tracers that will hunt down infected individuals, yada, yada. We get it, but straight from the horse's mouth here. Of course, these monsters are. I always notice, check out the symbol at the bottom, the Clinton Foundation. Look at that line of pentagrams underneath it.
To be able to do is to track people who are positive. Where were they? Who were they in contact with? How can you hem up any recurrence of this? Should we have, like you did with California did with the Conservation Corps of young people, should we have a contract tracer corps, even if we call it something more elegant? Should we really build the first public health network we've ever really built in this country around this issue?
The predicate for getting back to some semblance of normalcy is our ability to identify individuals through testing, to be able to trace their contacts, to isolate individuals that have either been exposed or quarantine people that are tested positive. And that's just going to require an army of folks and the capacity of consideration from individuals to allow for their privacy to be impacted by that kind of acuity of attention based upon where they've been and who they talk to.
This virtual group of contact tracers would contact anybody who's tested positive to learn about their recent activities, who they may have been in contact with. We had something like
identifying.
He looks like Gavin Newsom on the right there. The other one's that's not Hillary, that's Bill. But Gavin Newsom, he looks like Christian Bale, American Psycho. You see American Psycho? That's who he reminds me of. He is an American Psycho. Somebody posted this on Imgur, and this is apparently a survey powered by Google. It says, earn your reward by answering one question. Do you know someone in your community who is sick, fever, along with cough, shortness of breath, or difficulty breathing right now? Yes or no, not sure. Submit. So I guess you get to earn some kind of a reward. Google's offering rewards now. If you'll just let us know. Hey, how's your neighbors doing? Hey, wait a second. You had a fight with your sister earlier, right? Kind of pissed off at her. You just read this. Wait, your sister, she seems like she's been kind of running a fever. Maybe she's, I think I heard her coughing a few minutes ago after I punched her in the stomach, of course. But so she has shortness of breath for sure and difficulty breathing. Yeah, maybe, yeah, my sister. Maybe you guys need to come talk to her. Just saying. You know that stuff can just get out of control, and the powers that be, of course, I think it's all been created that way. It's a real test of who we are individually. It's a real test of who you are. This kind of madness and crazy power they're trying to give the public, This was a really interesting one from just about a week ago. Auckland woman creeped out after a restaurant worker used her contact tracing details to hit on her. I don't know if I can play this. I'll just read it. An Auckland woman says she feels shaken and vulnerable after a North Shore restaurant worker misused her personal information to make numerous approaches to her. NewsHub understands a Subway restaurant worker has now been suspended after the woman complained. This is Jess talking through what many of us have done in recent weeks, supplying personal information while ordering food. I had to put my details on their contact tracing form, which I didn't think anything of. It asked for my name, home address, email, and phone number. Dang, really? Look at that. Just putting that out there. Yeah, why not? Sure. Hey, it's for the greater good. I had to put my details on their contact tracing form, which I didn't think anything of, and that was your first mistake. You should have thought. It asked for my name, home address, email address, and phone number. Unbelievable. So I put all those details down. Except in Jess's case, she didn't just take away a sandwich from the Subway restaurant. She also got a Facebook request, Instagram request, Facebook Messenger approach, and a text from the guy who served her using her contact tracing details. I felt pretty gross. He made me feel really uncomfortable, she says. He's contacting me. I didn't ask him to do that. I don't want that. I'm lucky that I live with quite a few people, because if that was me by myself at home, he knows my address, I'd feel really scared. Even now, I feel a bit creeped out and vulnerable. Yeah, just imagine, how much are we going to see this in American cities? This stuff where you need to leave your information every time you go, pick up a sub sandwich from your local Subway, whatever you're into, wherever you go, got to leave your information. Before you get that Big Mac, sir, I'm going to need you to give me your home address, your name, and your phone number. And a smile, like, what? I just took a picture of you. A picture of you too. I mean, the potential for that kind of stuff to get really out of control is so obvious. I'll start up here. No one is safe. No one is immune. No one gets spared the anguish, fear, and heartache of living under the shadow of an authoritarian police state. That's the message being broadcast 24/7 with every new piece of government propaganda, every new law that criminalizes otherwise lawful activity, every new policeman on the beat, every new surveillance camera casting a watchful eye, every sensationalist news story that titillates and distracts, every new prison or detention center built to house troublemakers and more undesirables. Wow, there's a lot of these. I wasn't ready for all this. Let's get into it. Let's get into the news. Now there's talk of mass testing for C-19 antibodies, screening checkpoints, contact tracing, immunity passports to allow those who have recovered from the virus to move around more freely, and snitch tip lines for reporting rule breakers to the authorities. If you can't read the writing on the wall, you may need to pay attention. These may seem like small necessary steps in the war against the C-19 virus, but they're only necessary to the police state in its efforts to further undermine the Constitution, extend its control over the populace, and feed its insatiable appetite for even greater power. All right, this seems like more of an editorial, so I wanted to kind of get into just basically the news of it. Let's see. He's just talking about the national ID system. So my apologies. I thought there might be something in here, but I think we've already covered everything this person's covering. It's just a lot of, their view on things, and that's okay. That's fine. Not that I disagree either. It's just, I kind of want to get try to stick to the main points of the stories here. We already found that one earlier. BC gives thousands of smartphones to homeless amid pandemic. So just it seems another tricky way to start more of this contact tracing, right? Keep tabs on people. The British Columbia government is providing thousands of homeless and vulnerable people with preloaded smartphones amid the C-19 pandemic. In total, 3,500 smartphones will be distributed across BC by community organizations and the Social Planning and Research Council of BC. As of Tuesday, 1,000 of the cell phones had already been handed out, including 200 that were directed to homeless campers transitioning out at Victoria's Topaz Park and Pandora Avenue and whatever. For people who are experiencing homelessness, the closing of public spaces like libraries due to the C-19 has reduced connectivity options and created barriers to supports and services. Providing smartphones for people on the street will help create easier access to those services, help people maintain physical distancing, and support people in staying connected to family and friends during this time. Each of the 3,500 cell phones will be able to connect to Wi-Fi and come preloaded with a $10 7-Eleven data card. All right. Here's just a short bit I wanted to share with you. I liked this discussion here. Speaking of some of the things we're speaking of here, just check this out.
Mandatory vaccine, but the vaccine is going to carry the mark of the beast implant. and every person's going to be ordered to be vaccinated. And anybody who resists vaccination obviously will be ostracized from society, but possibly could be imprisoned for refusing an order. And parents will see their children taken away from them. I mean, Bill Gates, he's always been a vaccine freak, but now he wants to implant a digital device, a microchip, a nano-size microchip in the vaccine. This is stuff I talked about 15 to 20 years ago, and people said, "Oh, that's too far out. That's crazy. They would never do stuff like that." But here we are today, and it's reality.
This initiative that Bill Gates is pushing, the ID 2020, that has the goal to take a system like maybe even the vaccination system we just said, to have an ID for 1 billion people, if not maybe 7 billion. Right now they're starting with the poorest people in the world, but they want everyone to have a digital identity, one that can be tracked, one that can be watched, one that can be controlled.
That's right. So, Edward, when we were at Davos the first time, 2015 or 2017, Bill Gates was there. I saw him. I was standing next to him at one time. I could have spoke to him. I didn't. He was literally shoulder to shoulder with me. But later in the day, one of the sessions, of course, you guys know there are small meeting rooms taking place throughout Davos. But one that I wanted to go to was on the universal digital identity, the thing that Edward is talking about. The three of us, we were wearing White House badges. Our names, it said White House. Right? We're traveling with President Donald Trump. When I walked up to the room to go into the universal digital identity meeting, you had to scan your badge on an electronic scanner, and it would grant you access. Mine was denied. And I said, "Oh, are you out of room? Are you out of seats?" And the young woman said, "No, there are more seats." And I said, "Well, I want to go in." And she said, "You're not permitted." And so I tried to pull rank. I said, "Well, I'm here with the White House." And she looked at me and very sternly said, "You do not have access to this meeting." And I looked at her and I said, "What are they talking about in there that they don't want me to hear?" And so we stared at each other for a few seconds, and then I realized I better back away because I could push it too far, and we might be asked to leave the World Economic Forum. But clearly there was a discussion going on in that building, in that room, inside Davos. And most likely Bill Gates was in there. Our Lucifer's Antichrist system.
Rick, here's where I'm at with Bill Gates. Don't trust anyone to give you a vaccine who thinks that the world is overpopulated.
Agreed. I thought that was also interesting because in Davos recently, Prince Charles was out there, and they changed the symbol to a rainbow. So there's a lot of images out there of him underneath the crown. It's a crown rainbow, and with the 666 is above it. It's pretty interesting. If you haven't seen that, I know I put it in a video or two myself. All right, let's move on. I just want to bounce ahead a little bit there to that clip. Killed by C-19 lockdowns, thousands of shut down U.S. businesses will be closed permanently. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I wonder what's happening in your area, because I'm noticing that too. You know, where I live, most everything's already open. You know, it's pretty much all opened up now, mostly. And there's some places that just, I don't know, man, I don't think they're going to ever come back again. Just little places you may not ever think about, but you're just used to seeing them open every day, you know. living around these areas for so long. But lots of smaller little businesses I'm seeing still closed up. There's a lot of big companies going out too. I mean, every week there's new stories. I cover that stuff every week. I've shown you guys a lot of those examples of big companies going out of business too. So it's going to be interesting to see. We're still early in this, I mean, what are the ramifications? What is the real aftermath when it comes to stuff like that? We'll see. But being in America and knowing how Americans are, people in America are going to keep trying to rebuild. And that's a good thing. I know they will. Maybe one business shut down and then suddenly they find themselves in a new business, that's even better for them, something they can easily get into now or something. Who knows how things work, but you always have to stay positive no matter what, no matter how many businesses are closing down around us, Here's another one of those I was talking about earlier, but this is where, we're seeing that sci-fi future reality, come into play here. We're seeing that sci-fi things we've seen in films and TV for so long about, drones in the skies, in your neighborhoods and just in your city watching over you. And I mean, that's just the first phase, it gets really gnarly later on once these things get armed, right? So that'd be the next step. They already have some. I showed some footage on one of my shows in China that they had armed with a flamethrower. So that'd be a lot of fun to tangle with, I'm sure. So let's check this out.
It involves using drones to keep a close eye on social distancing. NBC's Mark Santillo.
At 5:30, we're getting a look at a new program from Westport Police to help flatten the curve.
It involves using drones to keep a close eye on social distancing. NBC's Mark Santillo shows us how it works.
A high-tech eye in the sky. Westport Police have been using drones for years to help at traffic accidents and fires, but now they're keeping watch for social distancing.
Just another tool that gives us an opportunity to serve our community better.
Always looking to the future of policing when it comes to keeping his residents safe, Chief Fodi Kaskina says their existing drones, coupled with new software, just makes sense.
These are public places. People need to understand that they need to follow the rules, but we can't be everywhere.
This is a grocery store in town. You can see people in line outside, and when someone gets within the 6 feet, the green circle glows red. An officer back at the station can see this and give an audio reminder to socially distance through the drone.
Right out of the movies.
The drone can deliver an audio message through a speaker.
It's kind of creepy at the same time as comforting.
For Westport resident Lisa Delinka, she had COVID symptoms, is feeling better, and says while this drone technology is unique, she understands how it can help keep her town healthy.
The more we can do to stay safe and make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, the better off everyone is.
The town of Westport had the state's first COVID cluster. Chief Kaskina says people are practicing social distancing, and this technology will be extremely helpful in the next phase when restrictions begin to loosen, while the emphasis will remain on keeping community and cops safe.
I can't keep the public safe with my own.
But you already see, though, do you think those drones are ever going to go away? Do you think once the numbers come down or whatever with the C-19 in this area here, that the drones are going to go away too? No. It's one of the ways that they're indoctrinating the people and getting them used to them. It's what I believe. And this isn't the only place that it's happening. This isn't the only place that's using these drones right now. So, you get the people used to that kind of a thing. And then once the whatever threat goes away, it's like, we'll keep them around. It aids in law enforcement. People are used to them. They're not scared of them. Why not? Until that day where, you're hiding out in the mountains and you hear bzzz, you look down or look outside and you see a couple drones up there and someone's saying, well, why don't you have a traceable implant? You're sitting there like shaking in your little boots, or you're loading up that rifle. I don't know. And then it just like shoots fire right at the cabin. I doubt it sounds like that, but but you have an escape hatch. So you go into this little cave kind of thing you've built. Cabin burns down. Drones think you're dead, go away. You live on. Just build a cabin somewhere else. But then you still got to be keeping your eyes out. You never know. U.S. police departments deployed drones donated by Chinese manufacturer. Shenzhen-based DJI Enterprise recently donated monitoring equipment to the Battle Creek Police Department and Kent County Sheriff's Department in Michigan. On the manufacturer's website, DJI uses examples of police agencies like Daytona Beach, Florida Police, who plan on using the drone's loudspeaker to disperse crowds to avoid spread of the C-19. As far as patrolling the streets and shouting messages, that's not what these are for, Kent County Sheriff's Department Joel Roon told the news station. The drones are smaller than the current fleet and are equipped with a light and a speaker. The decision to accept the drones was based more on opportunity than a specific mission. Roon said the drones will not be used to, quote, monitor crowds that may be violating Governor Gretchen Whitmer's stay-at-home order. Yet, if there's a traditional response tactic that we can use, like responding with a patrol car with maybe a PA system, we're going to always resort to that first, he said. Another one of those obvious signs, aftermath for us to keep our eyes on is the food. I'm not going to read all the stories because there's so many, and every week we see more stories about food shortage here, food shortage there. We may not be seeing it or feeling it yet, but we keep hearing it's coming. I don't like to live in fear of things. I also don't like to be unprepared for things. But at the same time, it's, I just went to the grocery store a few days ago and I didn't see them out of anything there. And I'm sure that's the way it is for a lot of you out there. And I know a lot of that's just an illusion, but so it is good to get some kind of prepping out there if you're not already, or have some kind of a plan, just in case, because there's been an increase of these stories over the last month about coming food shortages. Here's something I found. Somebody did a breakdown here. They see in their words of the company orchestrating this worldwide event of rolling out the 5G and already has rolled out the microchip in our car. Wait a second, what does that mean? Oh, well, never mind. I think this is something I was just looking at on my own. Sorry. It wouldn't make any sense at this point, but I thought I found something. I don't know if I did. One of those kind of things. America has a social credit system much like China's, mainly just showing the headline, as I was saying earlier. And I've mentioned this point before. You've all seen it by now. But a lot of this hardcore surveillance and censorship started in China, and we've found it moving over to America. Even with the social media censorship boom over the last few years, that's been another sign of that. And then they had the social credit system there. Now we have it here. We just had that story where we're getting drones from China to assist, in lockdowns. Craziness, huh? But now, of course, America has a social credit system much like China's. And their system was partially created by Google engineers. Social media, universal basic income, and cashless society, how China's social credit system is coming to America. Really, that's just the headline again. And, more of those elements we see in all of those dystopian futures. Even a lot of novels, a lot of books have been written about these dystopian futures, these New World Order futures. And we find those elements there, the universal basic income and the cashless society, part of it. Social media in its own right now as well, in very much a Black Mirror kind of a way. So there's that. Here's another one I've noticed, and this is more aftermath, but all the stories on these places digging mass graves. Mass grave dug in London, as the number of dead from crown virus continues to mount. That's just from a few weeks ago. They got these stories about there's so many out there that they're having to. This is an inside look at the temporary mortuary. It looks that doesn't even look like it's like anyone's even walked in there. Maybe they walked in there to put the tables, and then they walked right back out. But that's yeah. See much going on in there, eh? So yeah, what do you think about that? Really? All these mass graves? They're digging mass graves because of all the piled up bodies. New mass graves being dug as New York's morgues are overwhelmed. Mass graves, New York. No bodies in them, but there you go. Mass graves. Mass graves in New York. All the bodies. Hospitals are overwhelmed in New York City. So mass graves being dug. And the other side of this for me is not to be grim, but perhaps that really is just a part of another element of the plan, is for an excuse to start building mass graves, so they can have all the mass graves already built for whenever the real annihilation comes down, which I imagine will be when they start trying to, if we see this, when they start trying to force people, to take anything. I imagine that's where you'll probably start seeing a need for mass graves. I'm just saying, I know, not to be grim, but I could see it playing out that way. Look at this, though. Morgues are overwhelmed. Mass graves being dug. Satellite images show Iran has built mass graves amid the outbreak. Mass graves. Mass graves are being dug. Drone video shows inmates digging mass burial graves on New York's Hart Island. I think that's the same one we just saw, Hart Island. Yeah, that's it. Mass graves dug at Chislehurst Cemetery as coronavirus death toll mounts. Mass graves. Only one picture. In a graveyard. And it's like one grave, but at mass graves? Mass graves being dug. Again, part of it could be that whole psyop again of they're building mass graves, the hospitals can't take it. And meanwhile, we got 50,000 videos a week of nurses dancing to the Macarena, Mass graves dug in Bromley as Muslim community struggles to cope with number of deaths. Mass graves being dug. More mass graves stories. So I'm not sure. And I don't want to be mocking if there any of these are real graves and there are real people being buried in there that suffered from the virus. My money's not on it. I'm just saying that, I also don't want to be disrespectful if in case, just throwing that out there. This is Brazil. Guess what's happening?
The coronavirus as a light flu. There are almost 80,000 virus cases in Brazil and more than 6,000 people have died.
Now it is Latin America's turn to face the pain of the COVID-19 storm.
Wow, that didn't sound very nice. I just noticed that. Now it's Brazil's turn to face the grim of the whatever. Let's listen to that again. You sounded mean. It sounded like a horror movie.
And more than 6,000 people have died.
Now it is Latin America's turn to face the pain of the COVID-19 storm that spread west across the globe.
Yeah, grim. Anyway, just another story. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but mass graves in Brazil. They have dug a lot of them. There we go. It looks like they're putting people in. Mass graves. That might actually be legit. The one in Brazil, to a degree. I don't know. It's hard to say. Just noticing this trend. Speaking of trends, these, right, doctors and nurses in Iran are filming themselves dancing to boost morale during the virus. Just this stuff to me, it's so obnoxious, isn't it? It's just so obnoxious. No offense to the healthcare people. I was a medic myself in the military. So I like the medical community. But this kind of stuff is just madness. You know, you get that. Nurses spread joy. TikTok videos. But again, meanwhile, the media is telling us that it's this deadly virus out there wiping out humanity, and stay indoors, and stop your jobs, and your whole life's going to change. Sick vid shows dancing nurses carrying corpse of a crown virus victim as they copy TikTok pallbearers meme. I guess you could say this is kind of what it finally comes to. It's like full-on mockery of it. Idiocracy. It's idiocracy. Uh-oh. Guess I have to take the blocker off. Nurses stay positive, dancing in their scrubs as they tackle the virus. Are they really tackling the virus, though?
She says she wanna dance, but she don't know how to.
So, I don't know, man. Are you with me? There's something about it. It's just so... It's nothing against individuals. I mean, I get it. It's groupthink, and you want to be a part of the club, and a lot of people are watching these videos now, so, you want to be seen. I get it. I understand. But at what cost? I don't know. Watch doctors and nurses dance to Don't Stop Believin'. Nurses and doctors dance after taking a virus patient off the ventilator. This is where, to me, that makes it just all that much more of a clown world situation when I see that stuff, because it's all a big lie anyway, right? So just why not? You get dancing nurses and mass graves. It just doesn't line up, right? Something's off here. Philly Health Department writes excuse note for Jen. Nurses dance to whatever. Some more of the nurses dancing. More nurses dancing.
I want to show you a chart.
CBS News posts fraudulent video of ICU nurse crying over poor working conditions. Let's check this out, because I remember seeing this. I didn't know it was supposed to be fake. Let's see. Maybe it's not. CBS News posted a video of a nurse who claimed she quit her job after being asked to work in Crown virus ICU without a face mask. She said all this stuff, apparently. The video now appears to be inaccurate. Instead of verifying the legitimacy of the video, CBS added background music and captions to highlight a woman who lied about her workplace situation. The woman, who goes by Amaris on social media, has a prominent following on Instagram. Okay, maybe she did lie about this. Oh, well, I don't want to get into that now, but I thought maybe it was an actual good lead on a nurse, talking about the virus. Here's one. Here's another one. Some of you may have seen this one, but yeah. This is an interview with a nurse pretty early on with all this, and just her reactions.
To see, with me being so young, I didn't ever think that I would see this amount of.
Watch it right here.
All at one time. I mean, you think about it, throughout your nursing career, you're going to see a bunch of them, but all at one time is, I don't know how to explain the feelings that I have for it. It's, sorry.
All right. Look at the laugh. Look at the laugh right here. Look at the laugh right here. Look at that. Oh my God. She's so emotional.
That's so genuine, right? That's literally the nurse that's been through hell and back. Tell me that's not the fakest shit you've ever seen, man. CNN, fake fucking news, bro.
There you have it. There's even this, the nurses at a hospital in Paris recreated the Last Supper with themselves as Jesus and his apostles. Wish I could make that picture a little bigger for you. Let's see if I can watch it on Instagram. Yeah, there you go. Keeping it classy. But, on one level, even what their own Christ complexes now, they all feel so special. The medical people out there, all the world's got all their attention on the medical people. And it's just gross. It's gross. You know what I mean? Registered nurse in New York City hospital. Patients are left to die. No treatment, no drugs. It's murder. It's out of a horror movie. And of course, the video has been removed, which is really unfortunate. Because I played that once before on one of the What Happened shows, but I was hoping that I didn't go down and see that it had been removed. That's what happens. If you can find that, let me see, maybe I've got it somewhere else. Oh, here we go. I did get it. I think this is it. Let's check this out.
To kill that patient. He's going to kill.
I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'll play some of this.
Hey, everyone. Great goodness. It is 8:42 New York time. And I got to my regular unit, and they took my patient away, my black guy. And now I'm getting switched units. This is exactly what happened before at the other hospital. As soon as I told somebody, like management, and tried to advocate for my patient, they take the patient away from me and then they move me. So I legitimately don't even know what to do anymore. Even the advocacy groups don't give a shit about these people. Literally, Black lives don't matter here. And I mean, that's pretty sad that somebody who is white and lives hundreds of miles away from the city gives more of a shit about these people than the actual people in this city. For real. I had a complete breakdown yesterday because, I missed an important email to do a revision on my proposal. So my proposal got canceled because I was trying to advocate for my patient and talk to management here and get the care that he needs because he's being medically mismanaged. And I just had a complete fucking breakdown because my entire proposal got canceled because I, wasted my time advocating for a fucking patient who's just going to die anyway. And sure enough, they take the patient away from me. And then almost 2 hours into the shift, they switch me units. This is exactly what happened at the other hospital when I was advocating.
Okay, you know what? I don't think that she's talking about the virus. Let me see. She explained that we're not even treating. Okay, I'm trying to get to where she's talking about it. So she is. So thanks for your patience. I wanted to make sure. I guess she's just kind of, giving us a lead in. So thanks for your patience. Then again, we've got the time. I'm not in a rush. Are you in a rush? Still got a few more things to show you, and just appreciate you being here. Thanks again. So, all right, let's check out a little bit more of this.
For the little Hispanic lady. Guys, here's the thing. Let me try and put things into context for you. Okay? I know not everybody's gonna live. I'm not that fucking green or ignorant or, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed to think that, okay? I know we're gonna have a shit ton of people die. But these people aren't dying from COVID. Let me give you several examples here. An anesthesiologist intubated the patient's, I think it was right, bronchi, and of a patient, and they couldn't get the sats up. And for about 5 hours, like, we were waiting on a chest x-ray to confirm that the placement was wrong. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, we've told the anesthesiologist that it was placed wrong, because, like, literally only one side of his fucking chest is, like, inflating. He dies. Okay. A patient had a heart rate of 40, and the resident started doing chest compressions on him, which is not what you do. You just externally pace them, or you give him some atropine. And then, I run in there to stop him from doing chest compressions on somebody with a fucking pulse. And then he decides to push epi. He throws some pads on him to defibrillate the guy in bradycardia. Okay, he has a heart rate of 40 and a stable, bradycardic rhythm. We just need to give him some atropine and pace him. He fucking defibrillates him and kills him. And I was literally ran out of the patient's room to get the director of nursing who was standing out there. And I'm like, can you stop him? He's going to kill that patient. He's going to kill that patient if he defibrillates him with bradycardia and a heart rate of 40. And the director of nursing just shook his head. And I turned around and he killed the dude. Okay. There was a nurse who placed an NG tube into some guy's lungs and filled his lungs with tube feeding. There was a nurse who confused a long-acting insulin with a short-acting insulin and gave 30 units of.
And while I listen to this, I in the back of my mind, I picture all these images of the dancing nurses.
Fast-acting insulin and killed the guy. What else?
I mean, while stuff like this is happening in the hospitals, just one example of some of the and I've shown you guys other examples of nurses, losing their jobs, not even having work anymore because the hospitals are shutting down or were, and just wanting room for the patients, the C19 patients that never showed. So lots of nurses have suffered through this as well, but we still get the videos of the dancing nurses,
Other stuff have I seen? Yeah.
Anyway, that's good. It's like 20 minutes long. I just want to share some of that with you. Well, then there's this. You guys may have seen this. A lot of people have been talking about it. Melinda Gates went on the Today Show, and she was, of course, pushing for the global vaccine while wearing an upside-down cross. Unbelievable, but not really. This goes back to something I talk about here on the channel for a long time, but everything's being revealed. I even said that that's the ultimate secret. Once that comes out, that all these people are Luciferian, and all these people are worshiping the devil. That's the big secret they've been trying to keep for so long, because that ties into everything, the child stuff, the kidnapping, adrenochrome, if you will, all kinds of stuff ties into all of it. So that's the big secret, and that'll be the last one to be exposed. So it's interesting. We see things like this happening. Melinda Gates, who claims to be a Roman Catholic. Let's see.
For more than 20 years, she and her husband have really dedicated their lives and their money to global health initiatives, fighting infectious diseases. Through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, she has traveled the world working on treatments and vaccines for diseases like malaria and tuberculosis. Well, now they are finding a vaccine. What's the status of that right now?
Well, I think just as you're hearing from everyone,
I love how they tried to soften her up. It's like she's got the pink, anyway, the color itself. But I don't know. They have her looking like a church lady, don't they? To me, they have her looking like a church lady, but she's got an upside down cross hanging around her neck. It's unbelievable. These people. And you remember there's also that recently, I wonder if it'd be in here. No, but recently with the story came out about Bill Gates and Marina Abramovic, and it wasn't them directly involved, but it was a Microsoft ad that had Marina Abramovic, who's basically the modern day Aleister Crowley. She's a well-known witch, adored by celebrities and politicians alike. And they had that Microsoft ad featuring her in virtual reality. So another example of how that stuff's coming out, how it's being revealed. Now you have Bill Gates' wife wearing an upside down cross on the Today Show. And then it reminded me of this when Chelsea Clinton, there's several pictures you can find of her wearing an upside down cross. Clinton Foundation with a bunch of pentagrams anyway. There's this too. I put this in one of my videos way back on the movie Mother, but of course YouTube no likey, so that's one they removed a long time ago. It's on my website. You can still find it, but I'll try to find the best capture because they'll definitely copyright you for this. But this is Jennifer Lawrence. She's on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and she's wearing these massive upside down crosses. So let's see if we can't get a decent shot. Maybe hard for you all to see. There you go, kind of. There you go. That's a good shot of it. Look at that. It is exactly what you think it is. That is a massive upside down cross. This is just one thing I put in that video, but it's been a long time ago. And there's a lot of other stuff in that video about the movie Mother. There's so much in that. But yeah, isn't that crazy? Right there on the Tonight Show. America's Sweetheart, Jennifer Lawrence. Unreal. But that's just right before our eyes, yet so few people see, right? Here's another element of it. It's the financial side of it all. A universal basic income. Amid the crown virus crisis, its appeal is broadening. The notion of the federal government handing out free money used to be a liberal dream and a conservative nightmare. No more. This is what the article says. The crown virus outbreak, which plunged the nation into an economic freefall, has created an opening for governments and nonprofits to experiment with giving money directly to Americans with no strings attached. In Los Angeles, thousands have been handed Angelino cards, no-fee debit cards loaded with $700 to $1,500. Across the nation, food stamp recipients are getting a $1,000 check from a private effort whose leaders include former presidential candidate Andrew Yang. The federal government, with near unanimous support from Democrats and Republicans, is sending up to $1,200 to most people to blunt unprecedented job losses. During the 2020 presidential campaign, Yang proposed a universal basic income, with the U.S. providing $1,000 every month to every American adult. Anyway, you see where this is going, potentially. But that's another one of those elements we always see, especially with the mark and all that, is eventually that's a part of your monetary, somehow connected to your monetary system, like it's all digital. So the basic income, and everybody gets a basic income. And I know that some people may think that's a great idea. Look it up through history, what's happened when, at the times that's failed. Man, if there's a way they could figure it out, though, and give everybody, say, $2,000 a month, it'd be an interesting experiment, wouldn't it? It'd be interesting to see if people kept working. And see, that'd be the danger of it, too, is a lot of people wouldn't. Probably most people wouldn't, But then maybe that would turn out to be a good, I don't know. See, I'm sitting here questioning. I don't want to say it's a bad side of the way I think about stuff, but it's just, I can see both sides of it. This probably isn't the best place to start debating it. I'd have to have a good open chat with you guys and see what you think, but I don't know. There's lots of negatives to it. I mean, there's also a lot to be said for working for what you have. You know what I mean? The side of me would love to see people taken care of, but then on the other side, human nature being what it is, And also knowing, even biblically, it's a biblical principle to work, to earn, your food, to earn what you have, to work for it. So, and I'm from the Midwest, and Midwest people aren't afraid of a good hard day's work. So I've always been okay with, with working, working hard and stuff, like physically. That's good. But yeah, I think ultimately it's a bad idea. Obviously, they've tried it so many times in the past, and it always seems to fail. Everybody gets hurt. It's better to be in a competitive system, isn't it? To where if you can just work, if you go to work, you can earn it. It's great. Anyway, but this definitely seems to be a new trend. Over the last month or so, we're seeing a lot of this, and people are wanting it. More and more people are wanting it. But that's definitely just another way for them to make us a full-on slave to the beast system as well, especially if they make that digital. They take the money, they say it's going to be, you have to get this mark, you have to get a chip or something to use this money. We'll give you free money, and that's probably what they'll wind up doing. Yeah, we'll give you a basic income, but you're going to have to get it through this chip. Everything's going to be in there, your vaccine stuff and your medical history, and you can access the internet through this, and whatever. You're getting headlines like this: Crown virus is making universal basic income look better. Scotland to adopt universal basic income. Spain is about to bring in a basic income scheme, which the government thinks will stay forever. Crown virus crisis could pave the way to universal basic income. More New Jersey prisoners to be released amid the virus. And this is another trend we've seen, right? Which has been very interesting. Even though a lot of them say, they're not dangerous people. Kentucky to release 186 inmates as the cases rapidly increase. Over 16,000 U.S. inmates have been released as Crown virus has progressed. More than 1,500 New York City inmates have been released. California releases more jail inmates amid the virus crisis. Inmates charged with violent crimes poised for release due to C-19. Mayor de Blasio releasing hundreds of inmates out of Rikers Island amid the pandemic. Florida inmate released amid pandemic killed someone the next day. Washington released almost 1,000 inmates amid outbreak. California, Ohio, and Illinois released hundreds of inmates early to decrease the prison population during the Crown virus crisis, while some districts say they will not pursue prosecutions for low-level crimes. And that's where, that's the brunt of it. That's where it all leads. It's chaos. I really do feel in a lot of these cases, it's just chaos. It's like these people are trying to fan the flames a bit, feed the fires some, create a bit more chaos out there, because out of chaos, they can gain control, right? Order out of chaos. California's Prop 47 leads to rise in shoplifting, thefts, criminal activity across the state. And that's Prop 47s where they said they weren't going to punish low-level crimes. And then there's this stuff, which is so annoying. A lot of the stuff with the celebrities. Julia Roberts, Hugh Jackman, and more celebs handing over social profiles to COVID-19 experts. Wow. Check this out. Remember, these are celebrities telling us to do this, so pay attention.
So long, Instagram.
Bye-bye, Instagram.
Farewell, Facebook.
Sayonara, Twitter.
See you later, followers. The last person you need to hear from right now is me.
I'm taking a hiatus.
So one day I'm handing over my account
to experts on COVID-19. People who actually know what they're talking about.
So instead of hearing from me,
You'll be hearing from dozens of experts, like Dr. Anthony Fauci,
Gail Smith, President and CEO of One.
Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala,
former finance minister of Nigeria.
Listen to what they have to say.
Because you and I aren't safe unless everybody everywhere else is safe. There's enough knowledge out there.
They have to say.
Because you and I
Listen to what they have to say. Listen to what they have to say. Listen to what they have to say.
Because you and I aren't safe unless everybody everywhere else is safe. There's enough knowledge out there. Countries can get ahead of this.
We are just as good as our weakest link. We all have to act as one.
As one.
As one.
As one. So, bye for now.
That's easy.
Break a leg, Doc.
Dr. Ngozi, take it away.
So, hey, there you go, man. Some of your favorite celebrities are going to turn their social media over temporarily to these experts on the C-19, and they're going to educate you, okay? So just get ready for your education. You're going to like this. You remember this stuff. Gal Gadot leads video of Hollywood celebrities singing Antichrist anthem, because it really is Imagine, which was just so ridiculous. We're not going to play it, but you remember that. Foolishness, more honk honk. And then we have all this, of course, just with the masks. And even this, I mean, look, in so many ways, they're trying to make us, they're creating that prison mentality. That's the one thing I've noticed, even though most things where I live are opened up now. It still feels like everything, you got to wait in certain lines in a lot of them. You have to still social distance. It still feels weird. All the people in the stores and whatnot are still wearing masks. So it feels like you're already going through this kind of, medical type revolving door situation, or walking into some kind of a medical facility. I mean, that's the way it looks. Even in front of Target, I noticed the other day that's guy out there in a mask. There's a line, social distancing, 6 feet apart all the way down. And you got to wait till one person leaves the store and then you can go in. I mean, it's one of those kind of deals. And, a lot of places are like this. And so it already feels like some weird medical camp I'm in when I go out in public now. And I don't wear a mask. But again, just being around the people, seeing the masks, following all the directions. And just, and then again, the whole mentality of people being afraid, and the ones who are choosing to wear masks out there, unless they really have a compromised immune system or perhaps elderly. But other than that, people who are healthy out there wearing masks, that's another kind of a slave mentality, isn't it? So it's like the whole system's kind of creating that in a lot of people. And that's another element, I wonder, is it kind of preparing the masses for the Antichrist, once he's here, once all this stuff goes into full on warp speed, a lot of people are already be used to, being in line and waiting and, taking orders and, the whole thing. New program trains people to conduct C-19 contact tracing in Chicago. What could go wrong? Hold on a second. I think this is a commercial. Yeah. Hold on. Here we are.
Davey Pritzker said it already. Illinois will need an army of contact tracers before it can get back to normal. At least 38.
Crap. I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait till the stupid commercials are over. Okay, now we're ready. I want you to watch this. You don't have to do what I tell you to do, but let's check it out.
We'll need an army of contact tracers before it can get back to normal. At least 3,800 to be exact. That is according to the Illinois Department of Public Health.
We are going to be using the resources that are in place to get started, and then we're going to scale up with time to get the full number that we need. But it's going to be a gradual process and not something where, we'll have 4,000 in place next week.
But where will those thousands of tracers come from? The governor's 5-step regional reopening plan unveiled yesterday clearly states that moving from our current phase 2 to phase 3 requires the region to have a program in place that can begin monitoring and tracing some cases within 24 hours. And to move to phase 4, our region must be able to begin contact tracing for more than 90% of cases within 24 hours. But while significant progress has been made on the testing side of things, staffing for contact tracers still has a way to go.
As we have students that are completing, we will be referring the students to these particular departments of public health.
Hoping to help fill that gap, Oakton Community College today unveiled a 4-week online course developed in consultation with both the CDC and IDPH to help train would-be tracers. Because the program is online.
Quick story time here. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of, some of you know I used to live in Hollywood and work in Hollywood, and then when I left that stuff near the end, I worked to make a living. I was writing. I had an agent. I was still shopping scripts, but I was working as a manager at a security company. This is a long time ago. It's like, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago or so, 14. It's been a long time, but Homeland Security was a real hot topic back then, specifically TSA. It was a big deal. Like, a lot of people were into getting a job there, because I remember a lot of the guards under me, you know, that I had to watch over throughout the year and a half or 2 years I did that. I lost them to TSA. All these, you know, guards kept leaving because they wanted to go work at TSA and put their hands on people. It's like, dude, you know, and not to be mean, but some of these people, some of these were the dumber guards I had, you know, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, I could tell you stories. I could write a book about my experience working graveyard shift in Los Angeles at a security company as a manager, driving all through LA and having to basically make sure all my guards are awake. I mean, it was just like, I could tell you stories, man. Some crazy stuff happened back then. But I just remember that, you know, I remember even then thinking, like, why all these kids, you know, and then they always said, you know, I found out eventually it's, they liked the benefits and the pay. It's really what it was ultimately about. So I see this with contact tracing too. Now, how many people are going to be begging for these government jobs? Oh, I want to be one too. You know, I could see people chasing after a job like this. And the scary part is, even with TSA, we know this because we've seen it throughout the years in footage. There are some creepos that are attracted to jobs like that. There's creepos that are attracted to having power over others, like that new Twitch moderator I was talking about. Don't know the person's name. You can look it up. But, you know, bragging about the power they have on Twitch, you know, and they're kind of they're a unicorn child. You know, they're one of the unicorn children, but now they're excited they have power over others. So there you have it.
It is open to anybody, but its focus is on tracing the COVID-19 virus within Chicago's Northeast region.
Typically, these are public health officials. When you look at contact tracing historically, that would be doing this work. Our issue that has come up with is that COVID-19 has presented the need to scale the number of contact tracers that are available. And so now we're looking through our general public.
Southern Illinois University is said to be working on a similar program, except that theirs will focus on contact tracing in the rural areas of central and southern Illinois.
Oh boy, yeah, you're not going to get out of it if you're living in the country either. Or they'll send the drones after you too. Watch that. Or if the drones don't come get you, one of these things will. Here's another one of those things we were really conditioned for through movies and TV for years. And look at the star on the side of it too. It's got why does it have the Star of David or the Seal of Saturn? The interlocking pyramids. Why is that? It's weird. It looks like it, doesn't it? It's close to it. But even beyond that, Boston Dynamics, DARPA. A lot of us have been seeing the horrors of DARPA, you know, for many years when they show videos of the technology they're creating. And a lot of it is, you know, the Skynetish, drones that can surveil and robot walking dogs. I did a video a while back with some of the footage from this. And these things can walk upstairs. You know, they can open doors. Maybe not this one. They'll have all different types. But now we're seeing these robot dogs, you know, that we only used to see in movies and TV shows and scary videos out of DARPA on occasion. But now we're seeing them in the real world like this. Release the Hounds. Singapore deploys robot dog to help enforce social distancing. So I just wonder how much more of this kind of a thing, you know what I mean, we may see. What else will they deploy? Look at that. This whole line of them. Check this out. Alan Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz answers the question about what appears to be looming tyranny happening nationwide around the C-19 pandemic. Here, I'll just play it, this clip. Alan Dershowitz, a well-known political figure. I don't know. I know he's got connections with Obama. You know, one of those guys. I don't know a whole lot about him, though, otherwise, but I know he's one of these, you know, he's on a lot of these talk shows, these political talk shows, and he's been around Washington for many years. I've heard his name forever. Again, I don't know a whole lot about the guy, but I guess I really don't need to know much after this. He kind of spells it out for us, but here's what he says.
Going on in New York right now, where I believe you live, maybe Massachusetts, you don't have to tell us. I went to a protest, a peaceful protest at City Hall just a little over a week or two ago, and the park was shut down. You can see there was no violence going on, but the police basically informed me, a plainclothes officer informed me that the park was closed. He showed me no badge, even when I asked to see it. And he said that despite the fact that I was standing there talking to a 70-year-old woman calmly and having a polite conversation, no one was even arguing, they closed the park, they kicked us out. They told me that if I didn't leave, I could take it up with a judge, which I took to mean they would arrest me.
Justifies closing down parks, closing down public areas. The next question is, does the governor have the right to do that? Governors generally are not authorized to make the law. They're authorized to enforce the law. So you'd have to look to see if there were legislative authority allowing the governor to close the park. If there is, then it would be legitimate. Let me put it very clearly. You have no constitutional right to endanger the public and spread the disease, even if you disagree. You have no right not to be vaccinated. You have no right not to wear a mask. You have no right to open up your business.
Wait, can I stop you?
Yeah.
No right not to be vaccinated, meaning if they decide you have to be vaccinated, we have to be vaccinated?
Absolutely. And if you refuse to be vaccinated, the state has the power to literally take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm. If the vaccination
Where is that in the Constitution?
If the vaccination is designed to prevent the spreading disease. If the vaccination is only to prevent a disease that you will get, for example, if there's a disease that will kill you, you have the right to refuse that, but you have no right to refuse to be vaccinated against a contagious disease. Public health, the police power of the Constitution, gives the state the power to compel that, and there are cases in the United States Supreme Court. Case that pops into my head, I may have the name wrong, is Jacobson. I think probably I have it right. Check it out. You'll see that there are cases after cases after cases that the public health permits reasonable actions to prevent the spread of communicable diseases. Most of them grow out of tuberculosis cases in the early 20th century, but some are more recent than that. But there's still an issue of whether the governor has the authority.
Anyway, he keeps on and on after that. But, you know, we see that mentality out there. This is a well-known government stooge out here in America, but he's not the first one to talk like that. And we know that's one of the ideas. A lot of these people are totalitarian, you know, and they're tyrannical. Cash, long a refuge in uncertain times, now under suspicion, connected with the virus. Your face mask selfies could be training the next facial recognition tool. Your face mask selfies aren't just getting seen by your friends and family. They're also getting collected by researchers looking to use them to improve facial recognition algorithms. CNET found thousands of face mask selfies up for grabs in public data sets with pictures taken directly from Instagram. The C-19 pandemic is causing a surge in people wearing face masks, and facial recognition companies are scrambling to keep up. Face masks cover up a significant portion of what facial recognition needs to identify and detect people, essentially threatening the future of a multi-million-dollar industry unless the technology can learn to recognize people beyond their coverings. Wow. So to do that, they need more masked photos to train their algorithms. Think about that. That's from CNET. Your face mask selfies could be training the next facial recognition tool. Because they can't have you hiding from facial recognition, can they?
Church. The state has published an instruction plans for hotel guests. No collection plates pass through church. The state has published an instruction manual for reopenings across New Mexico, full of do's and don'ts. News 13's Chris McKee shows us.
Yeah, it's this 47-page report called All Together New Mexico that the state has released, and thousands of businesses and groups are going to be referring to this over the next few months, full of so-called COVID-safe practices. One of those many rules, no choirs in churches, which the state talked about in ways last week.
Turns out that singing is a super spreader event if you're COVID positive. The force of singing sends the virus out further. Loud speaking in public does the same thing.
Now, under the Houses of Worship section in the report, the state is requiring to, quote, discontinue choir or congregation singing or chanting. That rule is among more than a dozen others for just churches, all of it compiled in the All Together report. Another set of businesses with specific policies includes restaurants, which notably have a new requirement to keep 4 weeks worth of names, phone numbers, emails, and the time of visit for customers and employees who enter the building. The idea is that if someone gets COVID, the state can easily find who may have come in contact with that infected person. At Zendo Coffee downtown, owner Pilar Westall says even when they get the green light for customers to come in, she'll likely try to remain a walk-up service only for some time to keep things safer for customers and employees.
I feel like it's not necessarily a burden so much as it's our responsibility to do our part. And I think all of this is really hard for everybody, no matter what your business is. But the overall sentiment for me is that we're just trying to do the best that we can with what we have.
In the All Together.
So there you have it. But mainly wanted to show you that little bit in there about the churches, because that's another trend we've been seeing coming out of all of this as well, is church services being shut down. And so that's just a small part of this one right here, the houses of worship. But a lot of church services have been shut down. Churches in general have been under attack. And many of them not allowed to meet up. You've probably seen a slew of videos out there about it, about pastors being arrested all around America. We've had that happen multiple times. So it's been pretty crazy, but that's another element that they're going to have to achieve, this final kind of antichrist beast system. They're not going to, Jesus isn't going to be a part of that, at least for the system. They're not going to want churches and Christians. They're trying to extinguish all of that, right? So perhaps this is obviously, it could be a perfect chance for them to start instilling some of that. And I think it is. I also think this is where we start seeing these people, right, for who they are. They start showing themselves more and more, the different governors, mayors, council people. I'll leave a little bit of this. Just a doctor that this has been published in a lot of different places. This version only has about 2,000 views, but it's been pretty viral. But I want to share just some of this. He's kind of speaking what's on a lot of our collectively on our minds, I'm sure.
What if quarantining the healthy doesn't actually save lives? What if wearing a mask in public is not effective? My name is Dr. Jeff Barkey, and I'm here representing thousands of physicians across the country whose voices are being silenced because we don't agree with the mainstream media and the experts.
And instead of seeing this man and the people that see things the way he does, as his fellow medical practitioners, we get the dancing nurses
who are telling us what to do. Never in the history of this great republic have we quarantined the healthy. Never in the history of this great republic have we told churchgoers that it's illegal for you to exercise your First Amendment right of freedom of religion. Yet at the same time, it's essential to keep pot dispensaries open. Never in the history of this country have we been told that you can't go to church because it's not essential, but you can go get an abortion because that's essential. Never before in our country have we let criminals out of jail, but we've told you you can't exercise your Second Amendment right and protect yourself by purchasing a firearm. When liquor stores are deemed essential, but your businesses are deemed non-essential, there's something wrong going on. This booklet, the Declaration of Independence in our U.S. Constitution, was never designed to restrain the people. It was designed to restrain the government.
There you go. And that's a perfect note to lead off on. It's like I said, it's 6 minutes long. I don't want to play the whole thing, but I wanted to get that portion out there for you. And that actually concludes all I wanted to share, man. That was really my idea, is instead of doing, a full-on video about this subject, just kind of put up all the main ideas, the main portions, and just share it with you guys live so we could have a chat, room going. And speaking of which, let me jump over here real quick and say hi. Hey, guys, I'm over here in the chat now. Hey, thanks again for being here, you guys. Much appreciated. I hope you're doing well out there. Hope you enjoyed the show. Moderators, once again, thank you. Now we get one of those like really fast chats. Once again, that's awesome. Hey, everybody. Now I see everybody coming in. How you doing? Man, thank you for being here, you guys. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks again to the Patreon and PayPal supporters out there. I'll leave links below if you're interested in supporting my work. Also, if you're interested in doing any food preparation, emergency food supplies, I'll have a link below to that as well if you're interested in checking that out. And I also like to leave these shows in a short prayer. So quickly, I'll just say, Heavenly Father, thanks again for these wonderful people. Thanks that, we all have the eyes to see at least, and we're, looking at the things around us and trying to make sense of it all. So appreciate your guidance through all these things, and make sure we take all of this on without a spirit of fear, please, Lord, and to continue waiting on you and following you and being a light in this world of darkness. On that note, I love you, and in Jesus' name I pray, amen. Guys, hey, thank you once again for being here so much, man. I've got new videos popping up over the next few days. I've got a show coming on Friday. So until then, you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you again real soon.